Yes, I am Garry Kousoulou, and I do this podcast thing, and I really enjoy it. And the reason I enjoy it so much, I get to speak to exceptional people, and I'm very, very lucky to be joined by Nick. And Nick, I don't know if you know this, I only allow exceptional people on this show.
Sorry, you broke up there, Gary, but how you doing?
I'm really, really good. I said that I only allow exceptional people on the show,
Thank you, thank you.
and you are. How do you prefer? What do your patients call you, Nicos or Nick?
Nick,
People call you Nick. And you're a second generation optician, right?
that's correct, yes.
Do you mind if we go back to how your family got into optics? 'Cause that fascinates me. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, what's today's episode going to be about? You're going to learn a lot about style, a lot about social media, a lot about engaging with community. And Nikos is he's in that top 1% of what he's doing in optics right now. Very, very exciting. So I promise this episode will not disappoint. Can you hear me okay? Because today I'm doing it with headphones. I don't usually do it with headphones.
Yeah, no, I can hear you loud and clear.
So let's start way back. How did your family, your dad, get into optics?
He got into optics originally through my mum, I believe. So my mum was working as a receptionist actually in an optician's up the road from our Twickenham gallery. And at night time, as most Greeks that come over from Cyprus, he was working in a restaurant. So that's where my mum and dad first met.
Right.
And in the evenings, my mum was working. Not in the evening, sorry. In the evenings, they worked in a restaurant, and during the day, she worked as an optical receptionist. And my dad was working at Bausch and Lomb as well at the time, just in the warehouse. And he says that's one of the best experiences in business that he ever had. Um,
What did he
then
pick up?
after
What did he pick up for B&L? They're a lovely
just
company to work for. With.
just mainly just logistics really, and just seeing how a corporate company was run. So he picked up all those sort of tricks. And then my mum qualified as an optical receptionist because that was a course back then. Um, and then moved to another optician's up the road, which is where our Twickenham gallery is. That optician's was called at the time Gregory and Seeley. And my dad was doing, I believe, the dispensing course at that time. And he ended up working there as well. And my dad had lots of new ideas. Apparently, the practice wasn't going too well at that point, and they wanted to sell. And my dad took up the opportunity, took out a loan, and decided to buy the business. So that was on top of working in the evenings in the restaurants, working at Bausch and Lomb, doing the DO course. He also became a CLO. And back then, there was also the refraction course, if you remember, which they don't do anymore. So, yeah, that's how he started the practice,
I
but by
I
taking an
you must be
opportunity.
so proud of him. Like that is such a legacy story. Every time I meet your dad, I love he's really passionate about getting things right, and he's an ideas guy, and I absolutely love that story, and thank you for sharing it with me. So we fast forward a little bit to the moment that he thinks this is enough. My sons are going to take this over, and all three of you are dispensing opticians, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, that is.
So where did that moment happen? He was like, "Boys, I need you to take over. I've had enough." Because you had a tragic fire. Was it around that time or before? It seemed to me about that time.
So we took over before that incident, and I think my dad was kind of waiting for the opportunity to see a bit of enthusiasm from us to be able to say, get on with it, basically. And I don't think he actually gave up the reins. To cut a long story short, I came back into the business because I'd worked in different opticians during a period of time. He actually went on holiday, and me as a creative person, I was just bored of optics. And I had a few ideas that I shared with my brothers. They thought it was a little bit eccentric at the time, but they thought, what's there to lose? So when he was on holiday, we changed the look of the practice, got
Yeah,
in a few brands that we liked, put
nice.
in our thought process. And then when he came back off holiday, we took him out for dinner. We had a business plan written up, photographs of the practice because he hadn't been into the practice. And he was a bit quiet. He said, okay. And then he come to work, loved the look of the shop, didn't fully understand the direction we wanted to go in. And about 2 weeks later, he just said, oh, you guys crack on with it because I haven't got a clue what you're trying to achieve.
So this is
So
this is the interesting part. So as a director, you need a visionary, and there's your brothers have their roles to play, but you are the very much the visionary of where you see things going. And I think you are not allowed to say that. I can say that to you. You see things that others don't, right?
I've
With
got
your
a creative side.
You're very creative, and you see some things that maybe others don't. Your practice, can I say to every optician watching, every optometrist, try and go into the optical gallery. It's unlike anything you've ever seen ever. It's a thing of art. It's curated. It's like you're in an art gallery. So when you first thought of this idea, was that the kind of look you wanted? An art gallery?
So it's interesting because growing up, being called the Optical Gallery just felt a bit cringy. You know, even saying it to our friends, we work in the Optical Gallery. It just there was in my head at least there was no coherence to the name and to what it stood for. Now I love it because actually it was the name that Dad come up with that inspired what we're going to do. And yeah, making it look like an art gallery just went hand in hand. And I think that's a matter of branding in itself. When things don't tie up, it doesn't make any sense. Now it actually makes sense to us.
I think that if someone was to hire somebody to do this, they still wouldn't do it right. Because what you've got happening in there is you created a community. People come in are your friends. You know every single person that comes through that door. They're they're treated so well that you're getting frames out of drawers. You're getting frames and you're getting frames. You're a real frame stylist, and you're really driving the dispense to the way you want it to be, rather than Specsavers that say, look, the frames for you are out there, just go pick. It could be a polar opposite. I think the optical galleries not only looks like a gallery, but it's immersive. You're like, you're in for an experience there. Is that something that you worked on, or it just came naturally? Just we look after people.
I think that comes down to just that traditional Greek family values, treat people like family at the end of the day. And I know how I like to be served when I go places. I like to see an expert. I like someone that knows what they're talking about. So just relaying that back to our clients. I mean, some of the collections we actually stock, it can bamboozle people. So they need that direction at the end of the day. You know, if I let them walk around, they'll probably get scared and run the other way.
But they would probably find what is ideal for them. You become really good. Certainly, yesterday I was with a patient, and I said to him, "Look, they all come in sizes. I can tell your face size is a little bit smaller than the norm. Let's blah." And you start to get into a place where they really trust you and you're vibing. They look up at you and they're like, "What do you think of this one? What do you think of this one?" And it goes. And that is where not many people get to go. You're just not a form filler, like you're just filling in forms. You've gone to being an expert and getting there. So
You know, one thing I will say is I really love finding out about people, discovering them, and actually just having a conversation. Not even about optics. Like I want to know about their life. And I think the more you know about someone, the more you can tailor a solution to them at the same time. And you can build that rapport rather than just being seen, which I find a lot of dispensing opticians to the public are just seen as salesmen. And we're far by from
well,
salesmen
they're
at the
not
end of it.
passionate. Like I get frustrated to go to practice. I'm lucky. I go to practice all over the country, and when you're handling these frames, like they've got their finger on the lens, and the lens is blurry. They don't care. They're not passionate about the lenses. You've dispensed me in 2 of your practices, and it was a whole experience. Every member of staff got involved. Everyone was excited. That's the way I want to be. I want to be really. You gave me 5-star treatment, 6-star treatment.
Mhm. Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you on here. See, you go from dad grinding it out to get a practice, to taking it to a certain level. Then it's the 3 of you, and you then took, you had 2, then you bought a 3rd one. Is that
Mhm.
correct? And that one had a frame distribution tag to it. So now you're doing frame distribution as well as being an optician. Talk to us about that. Like, it's a lovely man that still owns half of that frame distribution. But do you want to tell us that was next venture, something else new?
So we've been working a lot. A lot of people see the optical gallery for our independent, curated, a little bit more niche styles, and that's a passion of ours. But 98% of the UK public are still not in that mindset, and we don't want to discourage everyone that comes through our doors. Every optician, I feel, needs a wearable frame, maybe not so eccentric as the ones that we do. And we've been working with this eyewear brand for many, many years, and
Ashton
we
Riley.
absolutely correct. And an opportunity came up with Brett, and it was a no-brainer. It's a great company, it's a great brand, it's growing rapidly. They're great shapes, and it stands for the ethos of what we stand for in that sector. So when that opportunity came along, we decided to join together on the distribution side and the manufacturing side. Brett leading the way because he has so much experience. And also with it, Brett had a practice, and he loved what we did and said, would we join partners in the practice with it? And that's where our 3rd gallery came.
That is so exciting. So you wonder about what's going to happen next, but you keep evolving, keep changing, keep growing. Now, for those listening thinking, wow, this is a great story, but it hasn't stopped yet. Like, you started to discover YouTube, you started to discover really cool lenses to go into really cool frames. You're like, people would I regard you as a social media influencer because the things that you talk about, you are ahead of everyone else. You're very well respected. Now, how did that happen? Like, starting to do YouTube channels, starting to do video, starting to seek. I never forget 100% Optical were there together, and you picked up a frame and you just threw it down like, oh, this is rubbish. And you were right. It was like the CR. It was what's that really inexpensive plastic?
TR90.
CR thigh? Was it CR9?
TR, TR90.
TR90. Do you actually remember this conversation? You picked it up, you looked at it,
Yeah.
TR90, you threw it away. You were like, no, get this out of my face. Like, you can touch acetate and you know the difference when it's a beautiful acetate, when it's a good shape. So talk to me a little bit about your journey and how you're selling online, you're a social media influencer for optics, your love of lenses. Every time I see you're wearing a very cool transition with a base tint, like, I just can see amazing things for you coming up in the next 5 or 6 years, and we're so lucky to even know you. How do people follow you, Nick? So how did that bit happen? How did it go from I'm going to be a practice owner to actually I want to influence? Maybe you did it subconsciously. How did the YouTube channel start?
The YouTube channel. So in between my time of studying, I worked in music. And to summarize my role, I used to build up independent musicians from the ground upwards to the point of them being signed to the labels. So I would call it as an A&R status, which is artist and repertoire. And labels would come to me. I would sit in studio, create the records with them. I would then do their marketing, their photography. I'd film the music video, put the music video out there, plug the radio stations, plug the nightclubs, plug the TV stations, and grow that artist to the point that they would get signed by the record label.
Wow.
And I had some good times. It was all independent. I ended up with Ministry of Sound and Atlantic Records for a very short period of time at the end. But music was evolving very, very quickly. Wasn't too much money in it from my side, but the effort was a lot. And I never regret anything because I learned so many new techniques. I'm a self-taught videographer, self-taught photographer, self-taught marketer. So when I come back into the optical gallery, that's what I had left behind. My dad initially told me to go and work elsewhere because my mind wasn't focused during that time. I was always messing around with musicians. So when I came back, first of all, it was I need to enjoy my job, hence the change in the optical gallery. And I was always kind of videoing, but I didn't really know how to video optics because it can be such a mundane subject. And I'm not very good at that sort of boring scientific stuff. I think the point of me actually thinking I need to share the work that we do, it was never a point of I want to be an influencer. It was I want to showcase what can be done in optics. And I found a really cool lens company, which I made really good friendship with. And what I could do with lenses was
Do you want to
just,
name drop them?
yeah. Marma London is the lens company, but we work with an array of lens companies. And yeah, I was just fascinated with what I could do because it was just like mixing colors together. And I remember a job that I did that I just said to my brother, let me film this and put it out there just as a random thing. And I first put it on Instagram. And people started contacting, like, how are you doing this? In fact, one optician, which is a friend of mine in America, Hicks Brunson Eye Care, he's also a YouTube optician, shall I say. He said, what is this voodoo you're doing? And we made a beautiful friendship since then. So it was more about just showcasing what can be done in optics. There was also another thing.
You can't fake that, you know. You can't fake what you've got. You got a true talent, and it reminds me of Steve Jobs when he left. Apple, went to Pixar, picked up loads of new skills, came back. Like that. I left optics, went into marketing, came back, and I add some flavor that no one else has got. And there's not many opticians in the world that have gone on to go and do this A&R, and have your skills, and that's why you don't have to try hard. It is just naturally you're brilliant at what you do.
Thank you. But the other thing that made me go to YouTube is I saw another influencer. So for this lens company, I remember saying to him, why is no one talking about your lenses? And he goes, that's just the way it is. And I remember an influencer holding up one of these photochromic colors, which is called Dynamico, that's the technology, and call it another brand's name. And that just, because I made such a personal relationship with this, with Marma London, just kind of infuriated me just a little bit. And I showed it to him and he goes, what do you want me to do? And I said, well, let me try and help you put it on the map at least, because I don't think it's right that you're not being recognized for the work that you've done, which I just find fascinating. And yeah, since then, I've never really looked back. And there's just so many topics always going around in my head that I just sit there scripting videos in the evening and then I'll come to the shop where I build, like, this is what I call my studio. And then since then, I've just started this new, because I watch a lot of jewelry YouTube. Like I literally live on YouTube when I'm at home. And I see what jewelers do on YouTube, which is like the behind the scenes. One in particular, Trotters Jewelers and 57 Jewelers, both UK jewelers, people that I'd love to work with in the future because jewelry and eyewear just goes hand in hand. And they film the behind the scenes. So I've started a new series called Raw and Uncut, which is the day-to-day life. So people can actually.
Where do you think smart technology is going to come in? Can you see smart technology, frames, things of beauty? Because I don't think because only Ray-Ban are really touching this.
So I'm excited about it.
Me too.
Because I love technology. The Ray-Ban ones, they're cool. But at the moment, I feel each company is trying to target a certain market. And there's one that I've seen recently that appeals to me that if it comes out, because that's the early stages, it's called Pickle One. It's almost like, like Iron Man. He's got the Edith glasses that just talk to him and remember things, and it's like having a friend. That's coming out, and the design looks cool. And if AI goes to that stage, I'm all on board with it.
Yeah, I watch this space. I can see us in a couple of years just having maybe even a third of our frames. There are frame companies now that just do the sides with the
Yeah.
earphone, and that's clever stuff because maybe you just don't want to wear Ray-Ban. Like you could literally just put the side on and go, and I like that. So with your with the brands that you have and the stuff that you pick up, who is it that you really love dispensing? Obviously your home brand. Like I see it takes up a lot of space in your practice. It's probably in the sweeter spots. Um,
Hmm.
in terms of supermarkets, they charge to be in the sweeter spots. And I don't think opticians think about that when they're merchandising. Like there is a point. People turn right. You'll see when they walk in. Where is it they always go to? So you put your favorite brands in the best spots, and I'm sure you already see that. What holds your best spot right now? Where other than Ashton Riley, what else have you got?
So we stock Kubarao. We're very, very invested into Teo eyewear. Takes up a lot of our stock range, and it's got a massive fan base for us.
Beautiful frames.
Uh, Gotti is also a recent addition,
Another
which is
beautiful frame. What do you
incredible.
do when you invest in that kind of money? These are not cheap frames. These are
Mhm.
expensive, and it's the last five that you sell that you really make the profit on.
Mhm.
How do you make sure that because as soon as you put up 20 new ones, the best ones go, and then you're stuck with 10 left over? That has always been a challenge for me in my whole career. You got to have a good relationship with the rep. Look, come back, they make you buy 10 to swap out five or four. How do you manage that?
So we always stock multiple colors of frames. So we're never really left with odd models, shall we say?
Mm.
So if a color goes out, we order a new color in. So it's very easy to sort of manage because I never like giving just one option of a model. If you've only got a yellow frame in that model, you've got to wait for a very specific person, but they might love that frame, but actually I've got it in these different colors. So we're never left with odds and sods,
That's
to
such
be
good
honest.
advice. That's such good advice, and maybe where I've gone wrong in my career. And I go to opticians. It's rare that you see that one model they've got a couple of options. So thank you very much for that advice. That's awesome. So what does the future hold for you and the group? Can you see the group being 10, 15? Is it going to go that way? Is it going to go e-com? You already sell online. You're doing a lot of bespoke stuff. Where can you see the future for you guys?
So we're actually negotiating a new practice up near where you live, Gary.
That's so
So
nice.
that's in the pipeline. That's all I can say on that. Um, Potentially more practices in the future, concentrating on obviously the eyewear brand, which Brett's headlining right now.
He said to me
Um,
he's fed up with me wearing Kirk. What is the
mm.
range that he's told me to get?
So we also distribute Mad in Italy,
Mad in Italy. That's the one. I'm gonna check them
and
out.
we distribute Carolina Lemke as well. So but I think he wants you in a Mad in Italy frame, Gaz.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. The lens that you're wearing right now, it's like a deep orange grad. Is that a transition as well?
Yeah, so it's a
Beautiful.
custom. So a lot of our custom lenses, we actually tailor them to lifestyle and as well aesthetics. So we call our lenses cocktails. So this is a cocktail that we created called OG Tangerine Dreams. So it's
Mm.
a graduated orange tint. I actually made the lens before I chose the frame. And then when I go outside, it goes to a blood red orange to a pink gradient. And it's got a gold glamour coating for just reducing glare and it just looks cool.
If by any chance you remember the public and you think, wow, I gotta go see this guy because certainly, if I wasn't an optician and I needed an optician to go to, I would come to you, 1000%. I would. I know that I'd get looked after both with the lenses and the frame. I know that it's cutting edge. I know I'm dealing with someone who's really passionate, and that. Can you tell us where your practices are, just in case? Like, it might optimize. In case you're watching this, you want to check this out. Do you want to tell us where you are?
So we've got a gallery in Twickenham, one in Cheam Village, one in Chesington, and Enfield to be continued.
Woo! That sounds cool. So, so if we're talking about your future, you're doing bespoke wear, you're selling online. Where can you see your career going? Do you think you'll bounce out of optics for a while and look at different things, or you always going? Because it has a tendency to drag you back. Every time I try and leave optics, something drags me back in. I don't know what the hell it is.
So me and my brothers about 5 years ago, is that when COVID was? About 5 years ago,
Hmm.
we connected with an eyewear designer. I've actually done an interview with him on the channel last week. His name is Paris K, another Greek guy as well. Not that we search each other out, but his designs were amazing. And we've designed a little capsule collection, which I have an idea for in the future. So all the designs are sitting there. And I'd love to one day start releasing those designs. That's just a little side project and a passion project for us. So yeah, we're always going to be stuck in optics somehow. There's things outside of optics that we're also invested in. At the end of the day, we just want to enjoy life, enjoy our work, look after our families. That's it, Garry. Just be happy in life.
Well, I really admire all your work, and I think that if you're an optician and you're looking at like who's hot to look at, you, your family, the brand, the frame manufacturing, I can only predict great things because you've got very powerful. Your dad's still around. You've got your two brothers that have different skill sets to you. So I just wish you the best. I am so proud of that we're both Greek Cypriots. So there's not many of us around. Certainly not in optics, and that's not the reason you're here. You're here on merit. That your work is just wonderful. And when you see what you're doing, it's not just words. You're delivering on those words. So
Well, one thing I will say, like if you are a family business, it's very difficult to actually work out your strengths. A lot of family businesses end up arguing, and we've had our bickers in the past from different creative directions. But when you actually know each other's strengths and trust each other's strengths, you can really grow together beautifully. So that's just a little advice to family opticians out there.
mm. And do you? It's easy to be hot-headed. Do you just like because all partnerships are difficult. I find partnerships so because I'm a creative like you. I want to go in this direction. They're scared. They're like, no, this is too dangerous or whatever. It's too crazy. Like, do you take a beat? Do you like sleep on it? How do you manage that confrontation?
So I just from my experience in music, seeing that creative artists have to be managed, I let my brothers be my manager at the end of the day. So I'll come up with an idea, I'll put it past them. If they say no, then I trust in their word that it's no. If they say yes, go for it, then I know I've got their backing.
That's a
But
beautiful. That's a beautiful.
you learn that because I'm the oldest out of the three. So maybe in the past, pride as being the oldest is the difficult thing to do, to listen to your younger brothers, but actually their business sense is a lot stronger than mine.
That is so beautiful. I hope I get to interview you again. In around 12 months. Let's see where you're at. You have added so much value. You've been so honest today with what you've said. If you're watching this, please make a comment down below because we will answer it. We'll see it. We'll talk to you. So I'll give you the final word, and then that is a pod. We're done. If you've watched this and enjoyed it, please tell a friend in optics. Like, share, comment. Go for it, Nick. You can wrap it up.
Thank you, Gary, for having me. It's always a pleasure. Aren't you the original influencer in optics, though? You were the first YouTube, no?
I don't want to claim that. That's not true. The first YouTuber optician was a guy that loves jazz. He no longer has a practice, but he was the first one. I've forgotten his name, and he would play jazz music as he tried on his glasses. So he
Oh,
he was before me. I was number two as far as I know. I was number one. I was the first optician in the world to have Facebook and Instagram. But he props to him. He was the first one on YouTube.
oh, you need to send me a link to his old YouTube channel
Oh,
then.
it's so sketchy because back in the day at YouTube, you had to have a digital camera. There was no you phones, so you had to
Yeah.
film it, edit it, and then upload it. So his ones were like jazz in the background, and he'd be walking around, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. But I'm going to take it to a next level.
Right.
Look, before you wrap it up, have you got any advice for any opticians out there that might want? Because what we both share a love for a great many things, but social media, uh, and then we can call it a wrap. Top advice for social media and running a business. How about that? And then it's a day.
Top advice, just do what you love. Love your passion. It doesn't feel like work.
That's a good way to end the show. That's a pod, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone.